There is something strange about the modern human being. We can stand beneath a night sky filled with stars older than human civilization and feel nothing. We can hear rain striking the earth after months of heat and call it weather. We can wake to the sun arriving exactly on time for the 10,000th morning of our lives and never once ask why it has never failed. The Quran asks us to look again. Because according to the Quran, the world surrounding you is not silent. It is remembering. The trees, the mountains, the oceans, the birds crossing the sky before dawn, the thunder that shakes the horizon, the shadows stretching across the earth at sunset. All of it is engaged in remembrance. And the tragedy of the human being is not that creation is empty. It is that creation is full while we are distracted. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wasalam, ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In our last episode, we explored the three stations of Dhikr. The Dhikr of the tongue, the Dhikr of the heart, and Dhikr of the limbs. But now, while reflecting on the Quran, let us widen this conversation because Dhikr is not restricted to just us humans. Dhikr is woven into existence itself. The Quran presents a universe alive with remembrance, a cosmos in a state of continuous orientation towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once we begin seeing this pattern in the Quran, there is something astonishing that we realize. Human beings are not being invited to begin remembrance. We are being invited to rejoin it. For once we crossed the threshold into this world, we forgot, and to return, we must remember. One of the most repeated themes in the Quran is that creation glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah al-Isra, the Quran says, "The seven heavens, the earth, and all those in them glorify Him. There is not a single thing that does not glorify His praises, but you simply cannot comprehend their glorification. He is indeed most forbearing, all forgiving." Let us reflect on the words of this verse. It says, وَإِن مِّن shay'in. There is not a single thing, min shay, except that it is in tasbih. The Quran is presenting existence in a ritual engaged in worship, obeying the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Fussilat, the Quran says, "Then he turned towards the heaven when it was still like smoke, saying to it and to the earth, 'Submit willingly or unwillingly.' They both responded, 'We submit willingly.'" But about the humans with free will comes the humbling clause in the ayah from Surah al-Isra we just discussed. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُمْ. But you do not understand their glorification. Creation remembers and obeys Allah in ways human perception cannot fully comprehend. Imam Fakhruddin al-Razi in his tafsir of this verse says that the tasbih of creation is not metaphorical rhetoric, merely pointing to God's existence. Rather, every created thing possesses a mode of glorification appropriate to its nature, even if human beings cannot perceive how. And this is important because modern people often reduce these verses into symbolism alone. But the Quran speaks as though creation truly participates in remembrance, not poetically, only in real time. The Quran returns to birds repeatedly when speaking about Dhikr. In Surah al-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يُسَبِّحُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالطَّيْرُ صَافَّاتٍ كُلٌّ قَدْ عَلِمَ صَلَاتَهُ وَتَسْبِيحَهُ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِمَا يَفْعَلُونَ. Do you not see that Allah is glorified by all those in the heavens and the earth? Even the birds as they soar, each instinctively knows their manners of prayer and glorification. And Allah has perfect knowledge of all things. كُلٌّ قَدْ عَلِمَ صَلَاتَهُ وَتَسْبِيحَهُ. Each one knows its prayers and its glorification. The birds know somehow in a way beyond language. The migratory bird crossing continents, the sparrow outside our window before Fajr, the falcon suspended in the wind over the desert. Each one has a form of orientation towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built into existence. And perhaps this is why hearing birds at dawn affects the human heart so deeply. Something inside us recognizes the atmosphere of remembrance before the mind can explain it. Then there is one of the most astonishing images in the Quran. In Surah al-Raʿd, the Quran says, إِنَّا سَخَّرْنَا الْجِبَالَ مَعَهُ يُسَبِّحْنَا بِالْعَشِيِّ وَالْإِشْرَاقِ. We truly subjected the mountains to Him, our praises along with Him in the evening and after sunrise. وَالطَّيْرَ مَحْشُورَةً كُلٌّ لَهُ أَوَّابٌ. And we subjected the birds flocking together, all turned to Him, echoing His hymns. Let us ponder and visualize this scene. Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam standing in worship and the mountains answering Him, the birds joining Him, the creation itself becoming a congregation. The Quran is teaching you something here about the nature of reality. The prophets were not alienated from creation, they were in harmony with it. The more deeply a human being enters remembrance, the more they begin moving with the rhythm creation was already keeping. Even phenomena we experience as frightening are described through Dhikr. In Surah al-Raʿd, and what a fitting name, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ وَيُرْسِلُ الصَّوَاعِقَ فَيُصِيبُ بِهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. The thunder glorifies His praises, as do the angels in awe of Him. He sends thunderbolts, striking with them whoever He wills, yet they dispute about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is tremendous in might. وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ. The thunder glorifies Him. Thunder, the violent cracking sound that shakes buildings and startles hearts. The Quran says it is in tasbih. And then there are the shadows. In Surah al-Nahl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have they not considered how the shadows of everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created incline to the right and the left as the sun moves, totally submitting to Allah in all humility. The movement of shadows across the earth is described as Sujud. The Quran is retraining perception itself. Things you thought were ordinary are suddenly unveiled as worship. A seemingly unresponsive world made just of matter is somehow very much alive and responsive. And this brings us to the unsettling part of the discussion. Because in all these verses, one creature stands out because they can forget. Nisyan. The mountain does not rebel against its purpose. The sun does not wake up one morning and refuse to rise. The oceans do not decide they are tired of obeying gravity But the human being was given something terrifying and magnificent, the ability to turn away, and that is why dhikr matters so much in the Quran, because forgetfulness is not a minor flaw in the Islamic worldview. It is the central human vulnerability. The Quran does not describe guidance primarily as discovering new information. It describes guidance as remembering what was always true and present. This is why the Quran repeatedly calls itself al-Dhikr, the reminder. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah makes a profound observation when discussing worship and remembrance. He notes that every created thing moves naturally, effortlessly towards the purpose for which it was created. The fish moves through the depths of the ocean without resistance because water is its home. The bird cuts through the open sky with grace because flight accords perfectly with its nature. When a creature is in its element, it thrives, it flows. But pull a fish out of the water and it gasps, panics and suffocates. And this is the secret of the human condition. The human soul was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Allah. Remembrance is not an optional spiritual exercise. It is the very environment the soul was designed to breathe in. It is the oxygen of the heart. This is why the Quran does not say the heart finds comfort in wealth, status, or endless consumption. It bypasses all of those things and declares, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." Surely in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace. Peace and comfort, itminan, tatma'inna, a deep, heavy, anchored settledness. Peace and serenity belong exclusively to dhikr. Because remembrance is not a foreign language the soul has to learn, it is the soul finally returning to the atmosphere it was designed to breathe in. So, in our next episode, we return to the verse that has been present since the very first episode of this channel. This verse that we discussed, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." Surely, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace. We have quoted it many times. Now we are finally ready to fully internalize it. Our journey continues. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.